Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, March 9th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 2 weeks, precipitation continues to target the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and late last week we saw a significant storm bring several new feet of new snow to the Sierra Nevada, along with over a foot of new snow to the higher terrain of northern Nevada up into Idaho. We also saw several inches of new snowfall in the lower elevations. This only brought our snowpack across Nevada and into Utah to about 40 to 60% of normal, which is much higher than we saw over the last couple of months, but it's still only half as much as we would normally see this time of year. Further north into Idaho and Wyoming, the snowpack remains near normal. Looking at new snowfall over the last 72 hours, we had some new snowfall over the central Idaho mountains into Wyoming, and generally the 6 to 12 inch range with some higher amounts, and the snow depth is highest across Idaho and Wyoming, where storms have been more consistent throughout the season, but obviously still we have some deep snowpack over the higher terrain of Utah, into the Sierra Nevada with that last storm, and into parts of Nevada. The satellite loop and 500 millibar height pattern from this morning shows a flat ridge of high pressure over the southern half of the Great Basin with only some cloud cover in those areas. However, dry conditions will continue today. We do have a weak area of low pressure which is moving into the Pacific Northwest, and this will continue to push cloud cover across Idaho and Wyoming, along with increased showers as we go through today. Otherwise, warm conditions and above normal temperatures are expected over the next several days across the Great Basin. Looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see again that moisture moving across northern areas of the Great Basin with generally cloud cover and light showers into northern Nevada and northern Utah, and a little bit heavier shower activity, but still on the lighter side over Idaho and Wyoming with light amounts. Dispersion will remain quite poor over much of the Great Basin today as general weak zonal westerly flow continues. Looking at the transport winds on the left, and you can see those light winds over much of the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin as that area of low pressure moves through Idaho and Wyoming. Today we will see some gusty winds and slightly better dispersion in those areas. However, mixing heights will generally remain low across the Great Basin, only a little bit higher in the Arizona Strip and eastern Utah. As we move into tomorrow, we see a ridge of high pressure move across the area with dry conditions. We will see some cloud cover move into far western areas later in the day, and there may even be some light shower activity in the Sierra into far western Nevada. Dispersion will remain quite poor across the area, maybe a little bit higher due to some slightly stronger winds in the far south, but generally poor across the region. Looking at the winds, they will be a little bit higher in parts of southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip on Saturday, but still only in the moderate range with gusts below about 20 miles per hour. We will also see some of those winds also into parts of southwest Idaho. Mixing heights will remain high over the southern half of the Great Basin and lower as you move further north. On Sunday, that ridge starts to move eastward, and you can see a deep trough of low pressure developing off the west coast, which will eventually be impacting the Great Basin. However, on Sunday, we'll see some cloud cover and showers move eastward across the area, again generally on the lighter side with still warm temperatures continuing across the basin. Dispersion will remain quite poor as that system moves east. Winds will be relatively light. And we can see those winds on the image on the left for Sunday. Very light winds, really region-wide with the exception of parts of the Snake River Plain and far southeast Utah, but even those are still on the lighter side. Mixing heights will remain moderate over much of Utah and the Arizona Strip into southern Nevada and the Snake River Plain, and generally lower elsewhere. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah, as we've already discussed about the dispersion, you would anticipate that the clearing index would be relatively high over the next couple of days in the high elevations of Utah, both today and tomorrow. However, we will see deteriorating conditions over western Utah as we move into Saturday, and then especially into Sunday statewide. The overall forecast amount of precipitation over the next few days, that first system that moves through today will bring that precip to the north, and then as we move over the next couple of days, we'll see some precipitation move across the rest of the Great Basin, again generally being on the lighter side with amounts less than about half of an inch across many areas. As we move into early next week, first from Sunday, we'll continue to see shower activity move across southern areas of the Great Basin that have been in dire need of some moisture. And on Monday, these showers will continue moving eastward and affect generally southern Utah before pushing into Colorado late in the day. Other areas of the Great Basin will remain dry on Monday. However, winds will start to be increasing as this area of low pressure off the west coast starts to influence the Great Basin, Therefore, dispersion will be increasing, especially across Nevada on Monday. Moving into Tuesday, that area of low pressure gets a little bit closer, so we will see cloud cover move into much of the northern and western half of Nevada up into Idaho. There may be a few light showers, especially as we move later in the day on Tuesday. Good dispersion is expected over the southern half of the Great Basin on Tuesday, again as that area of low pressure moves in. As we move into Wednesday, we'll see that moisture really start to move in across the Great Basin, so we're looking at more shower activity for many areas, even stretching into the far south, but it will mainly target the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin initially with this system. Good dispersion, mostly region-wide on Wednesday as those winds start to increase. As we move into Thursday, we will see that area of low pressure start to drop south, and this will keep moisture across the Great Basin. However, as we get later in the week and especially towards the weekend, the target of shower activity will move back into southern areas of the Great Basin. Good dispersion again region-wide on Thursday in advance of that area of low pressure. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation, this is just from Monday morning through Wednesday morning, so this is after the precipitation moves through southern Nevada, southern Utah, and the Arizona Strip. We will see lighter amounts of precipitation mainly across Idaho, northern Nevada, and increasing amounts in the Sierra, especially towards midweek. The 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us into the second and third week of March, so it shows below normal temperatures and above normal precipitation, even over the southern half of the Great Basin that has been dry for the last several months. That concludes our briefing for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.